Are you trying hard to use different techniques to make your desires come true? Does it feel forceful or exhausting thinking about creating a loving relationship or satisfying cash flow? In this video, you're going to learn how to end the pain of hammering something into your mind and ultimately see your desired results in your physical reality. Hi, I'm Manila Reddy from the Vibe Project, and I'm here with my friend Mike Brignac from the Feeling Twisty podcast. And today we are answering your questions on an alternative, effortless way of stepping into states of loving relationships and of abundance. So here's the clip of the call we recorded together.
I always ensure if I'm exploring something, it's just with a sense of, oh, I'm intrigued by this. I wonder what I'll discover. It's just with that sense of curiosity. Because if I just do a technique, if I think, okay, if I do this, then I will get exactly what I want. That often comes from a perspective of not understanding that creation is already finished and that you don't actually have to do anything at all.
Imaginal scenes doing these different techniques, I hear people, to bash anyone that, that does affirmations. My thing is, whatever gets you, if you feel you need to do something to get to the point of knowing, then do that until you realize, oh, by recognition of my desire, I'm already accepting that it's here already. And Neville says that in, I just read it, God is Light. That's one of my favorite lectures of his, where I think it's the one he says this, that you will eventually get to this point where you'll think of a desire and notice your desire and then sigh and feel that gratitude, that knowing that it's done. It's already done, he says. And he never said you have to do things. And I was like this for a while, that my imaginal acts, my little imaginal scenes became vain repetition, the same as affirmations. It's pointless and useless.
Yeah.
I notice if I'm having to do it over and over and over, I never shifted. And I had to be really honest with myself in the beginning when I noticed that, like, okay, I'm not getting back into the state. I never was in the state of my wish fulfilled, because I still thought of it as a journey of movement. I had to get from here to here. And then I realized I'm already there, because there is always here and then is always now. It was a beautiful moment for me when I realized that a lot of the struggle went away, and the need for specificity. It has to be this way, or this means has to be the way I get to it. And usually when I pick the means, like I said earlier, it's messy. It's a lot messier.
Yeah, because it's like because the idea that I needed to pick the way to get my desires, and I noticed this in myself before, was coming from a need to control, was coming from a need to micromanage, hypermanage, like a helicopter parent.
Yes.
Every single detail. So when the rational mind is taking over, where am I giving the opportunity for who I am to show up? Even though it's constantly showing up, it's just that I can't see it because I'm still stuck in that state of, no, my rational mind can do all of this. But the rational mind needs to be shown that, hey, you can chill out, whatever that which cannot be named, that sometimes we call love or consciousness or God, is already taking care of exactly what we want. Because now we're in the state of our wish fulfilled when we're not in our heads. Because our default setting is to be in the state of our wish fulfilled when we don't keep contradicting ourselves. And of course, I'm not saying that it's easy. The idea is simple, of course, but it's up to us to actually implement the decision. And the decision to imagine, the decision to explore anything. If somebody gives you an activity, or if you want to test something out, it has to be done from the perspective of a scientist. A scientist is neutral. it's neutral. He's not like, okay, if I do this, then I'll get this. Those are not very successful scientists. A true scientist is neutral. And then when you explore from that neutrality of, okay, let me just see, I want to explore this for the fun of it, for just being curious, or for the sake of just enjoyment. They're all synonyms for happiness, which is again a synonym for love, which indicates or implies that creation is already finished. It's already finished. So when I play from that perspective, now there's nothing missing. There's no like, your desires are not getting held back. No competence of them are getting held back, because you yourself have unveiled that state and you've moved into that new state. One of the things I definitely do is, before I test out anything, and I don't really do like an imagine-act or an affirmation or anything these days, but let's say somebody gives me a inquiry tip, just like I shared about the money, right? Like money as a person. I'm going to actually ask myself, hey, am I doing this from a place of being curious? That is from the place of love? Am I doing it from a place of being that neutral scientist? Or am I doing it because I subtly want to convince myself of something? And if I do this, it's going to give me that something and then soothe my rational mind, which is the ego, which is that state, which is that separate sense of self.
When I ask myself that question, something similar to that, I notice that every time I think about asking myself, if I'm asking, I already know the answer. That I'm not, because if I were truly exploring out of curiosity, the question never would have come up. So it's a very quick answer. You know it already is. As soon as I start to wonder, oh, I know the answer. I am coming from the head, from the ego side of it, trying to control it. The ego, little man, whatever you want to call it. It's an important part, because it's not something to shun, because for me, that's my point of experience. That's the piece, the node in this life that experiences it. But I know that that's not who I really am. But without that aspect, then there would be no experience. I couldn't experience anything, these things that we want to experience in these bodies, with these bodies. You were talking about more on that, getting in the head and trying to do things with my house. This is a great example. I started hovering around all the workers at the house, checking this, are they doing this right? And it started, with just this feeling of, I have to pay attention to them. I need to keep an eye on them to do this right. I don't want them to, it was a feeling of, I don't want the house to be less than what I want it to be and regret it. I don't want to regret it being not being what I want it to be. And if I don't hover and pay attention to them, then they're likely going to mess it up. Well, the more I hovered, it's just shifting into that. Like, I got to watch. I found all kinds of mistakes. And then I realized after a few days, like, wow, okay. And I just laughed at myself. I can't help but laugh, because I know what I did, and I know how to get out of it. It's the worry comes when you realize what you did, and then you freak out. Like, how do I fix this? Well, you shift right back out of it the same way you so quietly shifted into it. So I haven't been really at the house much lately, because I know it's going to be perfect. I've already stood in my house and felt the countertop and heard a voice talking about how beautiful the house was. And I did that before the hurricanes. I did that little scene months before the hurricanes even happened. I stood in it was our den, and imagined it being our kitchen, part of our kitchen and family room, with new French doors, with no idea of how all that was going to happen. But yeah, I was hovering. I was a helicopter homeowner for a few days last week.
Yeah, and it's great to notice, I feel, and nothing to hide from. And I like that you mentioned the word quietly, just like you quietly slipped into that state, the same way you quietly step out of it, or quietly step into a different state. It also tells me that we don't need to make much noise in our head to convince that we are already fulfilled, or that I'm already the person who has XYZ desires in my experience, in my physical experience. Question just popped into my head where, what if I just asked myself, how much less noise can I make? How I would feel about life? Like, how would I feel about life if I made the least amount of noise possible?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by least amount of noise, I also mean, even when I have like successes, right? Even though I share, we all have success stories. It's natural. Everything is a success, and of course that's how I feel. And when I share it, once again, I make sure that I'm sharing it from a place of, oh, this was fun, versus, oh, let me do this like flex that, oh, I am the like, I'm such a boss babe that I manifested my goals.
So I want to hit the pause button right here for now and allow you to reflect on what we just shared and to learn more on this last bit about the importance of the state of being where I share my success stories from, and how it directly ties into comparison, and how most of us go behind the idea of being the best, which sets ourselves towards more and more states of comparing ourselves. So watch our upcoming video and be sure to subscribe to our channel and leave your comments below. I'll see you next time.